For more on this, we're going to speak to Juan Ferrero, senior lecturer in Latin American politics at the University of Bath. Thank you very much for joining us today, Juan. So to start, how do you expect Milei to fare in these elections? In my understanding, there's very little clarity in terms of what polls have suggested.
Indeed, there is very little clarity. As you suggested in the opening remarks, the excitement seems to have faded a bit, but not completely. So it's a big test. Obviously, it's the first time that the libertarians, as they call themselves, will be competing nationally in midterm elections. So all in all, I think they expect a fair, decent result given the amount of crisis they have been going through.
There's been coverage, Juan, of fading enthusiasm from people like Elon Musk or even Donald Trump. But how has this presidency thus far perceived in Argentina, perhaps specifically amongst his supporters? Have they continued to back him despite the ongoing crisis, despite the controversy, much in the way we've seen Republicans, for example, continue to support Donald Trump? Or is there growing skepticism about the viability of his economic plans?
Well, there is a core activist, 30% of people that continue to support Milei. It remains to be seen what happens with the other 30% that seems to be moving in different directions. What we have to say is that Milei's, while the U.S. government seems to be kind of pondering about Milei, they have been very concrete and practical in terms of giving Milei a financial lifeline by not only supporting Argentina in the IMF, but also the Treasury.
Is there a strong, unified opposition at this point? Who else do voters appear to be putting their trust in?
Well, this is one of the main points. While there is a leader in the opposition that is growing in terms of in confidence, in terms of eventually challenging Milei in 2 years' time, the opposition is yet rebuilding itself. There is a credibility issue in the opposition, given the crisis that they generated with inflation and poverty and other issues. But at the same time, as happens in politics often, the opposition gains confidence in the face of a government's failures. And we have been seeing in the context of Argentina that Milei, while he's been relatively successful in terms of cutting down inflation, there's been an accumulation of mistakes and problems regarding healthcare, pensions, key cutbacks in terms of state funding that is hurting the vulnerable. And that is starting to be a problem for the government.
Do you think that Donald Trump's influence or potential impact on this election is being overstated? It's worth perhaps specifying that Milei himself has really kind of said that he needs Donald Trump's support. How important is that to Milei and more generally to some of the policies that he's hoping to put in place?
Well, Milei has done the automatic alignment with the United States and Israel a key foreign policy issue. And that seems to be paying off, because we have to be clear that without the US support at this stage, the government would have been in a terminal crisis, and it is not, just because of that. Therefore, the US support has been crucial. We can label this conversation the Battle of Buenos Aires. There's a lot at stake, which is beyond what's going on in Argentina itself. I think it's related to the geopolitics of South America, and the US trying to regain territory that had lost over the past years at the expense of China. So the US is trying to reclaim some territory in the southern cone, and therefore is playing hard.
Juan Pablo Ferrero, senior lecturer in Latin American politics at the University of Bath. That's unfortunately all we have time for, but thank you very much for your time on the show today.